happening? This is the Blue Review. Let's check out what people have to say. We're going to get into the pen. We're going to get into Julio Urias. We're going to get into Cody Bellinger. But I want to read what you guys have to say. What's up, people? How we doing today? Very nice to be back here on the Blue Review. I am Greg Bergman. This is at Bergman Greg on Twitter, at Bergman Greg on Instagram, and this is the Blue Review. The Blue Review, where this show is all about what you guys want to talk about, where it's all about getting your voices heard when it comes to the Dodgers. And this is a very, very big day, and not just because the Dodgers lost for the first time in quite some time, which is a little upsetting, but really, let's be honest. This is the first time they've lost in 8 games. They broke their 7-game win streak, but as of right now, they are now 43-20. But listen to this. This is the funniest thing. So last week, I missed the Blue Review because I was at my daughter's play, which is always more important. Family first, always family first. And so I missed it last week, and I'm here back again this Wednesday. They're 43-20. When 2 weeks ago, the Dodgers were 32-18. 32-18. They went 11-2 in the time that I've missed. How crazy is that? I was looking at it. Maybe it was a little bit different. I think it might have been the numbers might have been a little bit off, but they had only lost 2 games. 2 games in the time that I totally missed this, and I think that's just absolutely insanity. But I want to get right into what you guys want to talk about. I did not make any topics today. I wanted to know what you guys want to talk about. I'm assuming it's going to be some bullpen, but that's totally fine. We'll get into that. I want to hear what you guys have to say. So Joe Cool 1967 say Dodgers losses depress me. Well, Dodgers losses depress me too. However, at 43-20, 23 games above 500, 10 games up in the National League West, 8 games up in all of the National League, and a game up still in the entire all over baseball. I think you can lose a game here or there. And let's look at it this way. I think this is the better way to look at it, is that we have a game on Friday in San Francisco, and in that game, that's when you can start a whole brand new win streak, and they're that good. And this is how good they are that they can win those games. These are the types of games that they could easily win. Julian Guis, sorry if I said that wrong. Ryu leads league in ERA. Yeah, he's got a 1.53 ERA right now. I hate just saying random numbers like that, but this is what's happening. I have to understand those numbers. In the time that in the month of May, he had a .53 ERA, I believe, and he didn't give up anything yesterday, and he has been so good and so dominant. Nobody has any chance against him right now, and that's an amazing thing. Isaiah M05 on Instagram says, what can we do to help the bullpen? Sign Kimbrel? Isaiah, no. I think that's one of the things that people are really going to be wondering about the most, is that now that you can sign Craig Kimbrel, because he's a free agent, he can sign wherever he wants, but he does not have that draft pick connected to him after he left the Boston Red Sox, and because of that, you think, okay, let's go get Kimbrel. Well, Kenley Jansen has actually been pretty good over the last couple weeks. He's been really strong. He's going to be your closer. Craig Kimbrel wants to be a closer, so there's no chance that that's going to happen. They'll talk to him. I don't see why they wouldn't go talk to the guy, but for the most part, why is he going to go somewhere where he's not going to be pitching every, sometimes 2 days in a row, 3-4 times in a week? Why won't he go where he believes he is that strong of a closer and he wants to close? And let me just warn people about this as well, because I think this is something important. Look what happens to closers when they are no longer the closer. If they're a good closer, when they move into a former closers into setup roles, just don't work. It's this. Let's think about it in the same way that, you know, you think about a closer in a non-save situation. And we don't like, I personally, and I think a lot of you agree with me, we don't like closers in non-save situations. So why would Craig Kimbrel, we like Craig Kimbrel in a setup role? Because he was a good closer. He's still a dominant closer. He just has a lot of, you know, baggage behind him where he has to. He wasn't all that great last year. He wasn't even all that great in the playoffs last year. But he's still that guy that can get you 42 saves in a year, and that's why he's there. But you don't want to put him into a situation that he's not used to. It's a totally different mindset, and this is why I hate closers in non-save situations. When they come into a game, and now you're looking at, you know, like a tie game, or you're down, or whatever the situation may be, it's a totally different way for them to think. They're thinking save always when it comes to when there's that only a 1-run lead, 2-run lead, 3-run lead. It changes the way that you pitch. If you have a 3-run lead, Kenley Jansen's going to put a couple more right down the middle, because if he gives up a home run here or there, or if he gives up a hit, it's not the end of the world. If it's a 1-run game, he's a lot more cautious, and he's trying to be, you know, looking for the corners and looking for the edges. But it's a different mindset being the closer and the setup guy, and I just don't think it's going to be what Craig Kimbrel wants to do. All right, before I get back into what you guys want to talk about, I want to make sure that we mention this. This is a very, very important to me. This is the Bleed Los. Look at this shirt. All right, we're nasty. The boys can hit. And I put out a whole thing. Bleed Los, at Bleed Los, and I put out a contest today, over the last week. Since Sunday, we put out a contest. We had hundreds of votes, all from Instagram and on Twitter, and we came across with two different winners. So if you're watching, and hopefully you are, and we'll announce it on Twitter afterwards, but the winners of that are, let me get this for you, on Instagram, Pontificating HD, you are the winner of this shirt. We will be sending it out to you, and I know who that is. That's Daryl Bear, who's a good dude. I've talked to him a bunch on Twitter, so congratulations. I didn't have any say over this. It was all put into a randomizer, and you win the We're Nasty, the Boys Can Hit shirt. That was all from Alex Verdugo, if you remember, when they came back, the Dodgers came back from 8-2 to win 9-8, and Alex Verdugo had the game-winning hit afterwards in the post-game press conference with Ilana Rizzo. He said, "Oh, the boys, we're nasty. The boys can hit." And so you're the winner on Instagram and the winner on Twitter. Natalie G325. Natalie G325. Congratulations. You are the winner of the We're Nasty, the Boys Can Hit shirt from Bleed Los. So thank you very much to Bleed Los, and thank you very much to you guys for being a part of the contest. I'm sorry if not everybody that you win, but we will be doing this more throughout the year, and always new shirts coming out. If you did not win, make sure, go to Bleed Los right now, at Bleed Los, BLEEDLOS, on Instagram and on Twitter, and there's plenty of good stuff on there. I only wear their stuff. I only wear this shirt whenever I'm on here, and I wear it around too, because they're really cool Dodger shirts. I get stopped on the side of the road, people are like, "Oh, I love that shirt." And I'm like, "Thanks, man. I got it at Bleed Los." And that's the way to do that. All right. Well, thank you guys very much. And now back to what you guys want to talk about, because I think that's important to this show. I got Grubbing Gunner on the ESPN LA Periscope. Ryu for Cy Young. You know what? As of right now, he is by far the Cy Young Award winner, and it's not even close. Nobody is anywhere near him, and he's just out-pitching everyone. It's a long season, so he's got to be able to keep it up throughout the year and stay away from those injuries that he's had over the last couple of years, and it's very possible for that to happen. And also it comes down to what the Dodgers themselves want to do. Do the Dodgers want to maybe shut him down for a little bit so that he's ready for the postseason? Or do they want to let him go through and have 25, 30 starts? What's it going to be? That's really up to Andrew Friedman. And what Andrew Friedman does, I usually wholeheartedly agree with, so not too worried about that. Joe Cool, 1967. Any big man sizes? Yes, there are, and just go to the website. They will be able to help you out. And if you really aren't sure, DM Bleed Los, BLEEDLOS. DM them, and they will let you know if they can make bigger sizes and whatnot, because they all make them in house, and they're great. They're really nice quality too. They're very comfortable. Dodger Rebel, what's up, my man? I saw you talk about Seager before, but I'm going to answer this one first. I know it's regular season, but the Dodgers sweeping the Phillies just shows you how elite this Dodgers team is. Totally agreed, and I love going backwards and talking about things that happened in between the different blue reviews. And you're right, Dodger Rebel, you're 100% right. This is a team, it makes difference right now. When you win these games early, we talked about it on past blue reviews, where when you took the season series from the Milwaukee Brewers in the early part of the year, they finished every one of their games in April, I believe, or April or May. Yeah, I think it all finished up in April, and they took 4 of the 7 games in that series. So now you already, through April, you never have to see Milwaukee again, and if you see them in the postseason, you already have the home field advantage over them. Same thing can be said about the Philadelphia Phillies. Phillies are leading the NL East and probably are going to walk away with that unless Atlanta, who is my choice for there, unless they take that over. But sweeping the Phillies, and I think they took either 2 of 3 from Atlanta or they swept them. I don't have it off the top of my head, but either way, you took series from these teams, and sweeping the Phillies makes a gigantic deal. And really, towards the end of the year, they're gonna all these wins right now against teams in the NL East, in the NL Central, those matter later on. So very, very happy to see those wins coming out as they are. Let's check it out over here on Facebook. I have my Facebook on another page over here, so I'm sorry if I have to look over to my right and you're going to see the side of my face. I don't have a good side or a bad side. They're all just sides to me. So I'm going to look over here. I got Karen Kirkman. What's up, KK? Who do people tell you look like? Dodger player. Really, KK? You know who the people tell you. They all say I look like Chris Taylor. Apparently I am a full-on Chris Taylor wannabe at this point. I don't know, a doppelganger of Chris Taylor. That's who everybody thinks I am, and that's fine. I'll take that, because you know what? I was at the Dodger game on Sunday, KK, and they put up on a screen people holding up signs being like, Chris Taylor, will you marry me? And we love you, Chris Taylor. And so you know what? If that means that I look like that guy, I don't think that's a bad thing to really be saying. So I'll take it, KK. And who do you think? Who do you think I look like? That's more question for you, really. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say probably the same thing. Here it comes. Chris Taylor. I got a lot of Cody Bellinger every once in a while, which I don't think that one works, but I'll take it. He's a good-looking dude. Let's see. Jermaine Armenta on Facebook as well. And by the way, if you don't know and you don't remember, right now, the Blue Review is on the ESPN LA Periscope, which you can find right on Twitter. It's on my @BergmanGreg on Instagram. It's on Greg Bergman on Facebook. It's on Greg Bergman on YouTube, and it's like MPG_postgame for Twitch, but it's still, I can't change the name yet. They keep telling me I need 3 weeks to change it, and every time I try and change it, it says you can change it in 3 weeks. I haven't changed it once. Let me change it for G's sakes. Ray L. Barbone. Casey Blake. All right, on YouTube. Is it Casey Blake? Look, I get it with the red, and I get it. Like, Casey Blake, by the way, was an underrated player in that whole trade. They traded Carlos Santana. The Dodgers traded Carlos Santana over to what was it, the Cleveland Indians, and we got back Casey Blake, and there was other pieces in that. But Casey Blake was a huge pickup in that. He was great when he was here. I'm all about Casey Blake. Don't ever get that twisted. Phil Dant 50, not a bad loss and losing the way we did. No, it wasn't, Phil. It's not that bad of a loss, and I think that's the biggest thing here is that you had a 2-1 lead. Kenta Maeda pitched really well. And Pedro Baez, yes, he kind of blew it a little bit. It was all, but the 2 runs that they scored early on were all in regulation, I guess you would say it. Those both runs were with 2 outs, so you had the chance to get out of it, and they just couldn't get there. But still, I mean, it was Jared Dyson that did everything against the Dodgers there, and really, it was a 2-strike count. He hit somebody. Tim Locastro ends up getting. That was earlier on or later on. Yeah, he ended up getting to second, and then he was so fast, obviously, that he's going to come around to score. There's a lot of things that were going to happen, and unfortunately, that's the way that it crumbles. And look, the Dodgers are still 43-20, so I'm not upset with this loss in the slightest. I don't like losing, but they're going to lose. They're going to lose 60 games this year. Let's just be honest. It's going to be right around there. OB, will Jock stay consistent throughout the season? OB, you know what? I hope so. And there's good reason that it possibly can, because he is pretty much a straight-up platoon hitter right now. Where he is, I mean, he struggled today, grounded out with the runners on first and third, but he is a guy that's going to be somebody that when he only plays against right-handed pitchers for the most part. I know he got a start when he was in the 7th or 8th spot the other day against the lefty, but he can't hit lefties. Right? Let's just be honest here. Jock Peterson cannot hit lefties. He's not going to hit lefties. And so him only playing against right-handed hitters and being the leadoff guy, you have to be careful with him. He's hitting the ball really well. Imagine that he's only playing for the most part against lefties, and he's got 18 home runs, and he's batting 270 something. That's a good sign for Jock Peterson. I think that he can push that forward throughout because he's only seeing guys that he knows he can hit, and it's against the righties. He can see righties, and he hits them really, really well. So I hope so. I think he can stay consistent. He's going to go through lulls. Everybody is. Nobody is going to be perfect at all times. It just doesn't happen that way. Jermaine Armenta, sad to see our streak to come to an end, but they can't win them all. We're still leading the NL West. That's what counts the most. Agreed. Hopefully our bullpen starts getting it going soon. Time to dust off this loss and take it on to the Giants. It's always fun beating them. I agree. Now, don't be surprised. There's something about playing up there at, what is it now? I don't know if it's Pac Bell Park or AT&T Park or Verizon Wireless Park or, T-Mobile Arena. I have no idea what they changed their name over and over again, so I have no idea what the park is in San Francisco now. But that park, which is a beautiful park, the Dodgers just have a trouble playing there. They lose series there consistently. So let's not get upset. If the Dodgers end up losing 2 of 3, let's say, for the first series loss since the beginning of May, don't be upset because that's a typical thing to happen against the Giants. It's normal. There's plenty of time when they usually go up against the Giants and lose a series. That's normal. So I won't be upset about that either. But I would like them to get that series because they're better than the Giants. The Giants aren't very good, and they should be able to sweep that team. I would take 2 of 3, and hopefully it doesn't turn around into them losing 2 of 3, but I wouldn't be surprised is all I'm saying because that's just a rivalry, and the Giants, you never know what's going to happen with them. El Carriza 1, what's up, man? Alexander is apparently very good versus righties. I think Joe said righties are hitting 118 against him. Wow. Yeah, so, yes, because, that makes sense. He's also a ground ball pitcher. And Scott Alexander is a guy who I've been really high on for the most part. Oh, it's called Oracle Park now. Thank you, Julian. I had no idea. They change it so often. Wasn't it just like AT&T like last year? I don't know. Whatever. Do you guys change it? It's like the Pond. It's always going to be the Pond. It's not the Honda Center anymore. It's not going to be the United Way whatever for the Coliseum. It's the Coliseum. And none of that ever changes. Even if you put anything on the Rose Bowl for the UCLA, it's always the Rose Bowl. I'm not going to, listen to the, farmersonly.com Rose Bowl or whatever it is. I don't care. It's the Rose Bowl. That's what it's always going to be, and that's how it's going to go. But Alexander is one of those weird guys, right? Where Alexander, he's a ground ball pitcher who gives up home runs, like consistently too. I've never seen a guy give up so many fly balls that's supposed to be a ground ball pitcher. And the more I see Scott Alexander, the less I like what I'm seeing from Scott Alexander. Even last year, he was a guy that would walk somebody and then get a double play, or give up a hit and then have them ground into a double play. And it's not happening as much this year. Guys are just finding holes against him. I'd have to look more into his stats, but for the most part, I'm not a big Scott Alexander guy this year. And that's the thing with bullpens that we all have to remember, that bullpens are different year in and year out. It changes all the time. You never know what you're going to get from a bullpen. And this is one of those times. This is one of those times where the bullpen is not doing very well right now. But no bullpens are doing well right now. None of them. They're all poorly done right now. It's bad. Like just full on bad what's happening. And that's all over I'm not talking about there's 3 teams. Houston has a good bullpen. The Yankees have a good bullpen. Cincinnati has a good bullpen. And I think Philly maybe has a good bullpen. That's it. Everyone else is 370 and higher, and that's not good. The Dodgers before today were somewhere around 465 as a team with relief, and that's not going to get it done. That's not good enough. But they're going to go out and they're going to get something. And Buster Olney was on with Mason and Ireland today, and he said basically the same thing. They can go start looking for guys that make the most sense for them in the long term. They don't have to get a guy that's just going to get them through this year. They can go get guys that are under contract for a longer period of time. They can go get guys that are going to fit in with this team and grow with this crazy young team. So a lot of the things. So think of guys like Amir Garrett in Cincinnati. That's a guy that could be a good pickup for the Dodgers. Kirby Yates is always one of those guys, but because he's been a setup guy, now he's a great closer for San Diego. I don't know if San Diego will make that move with us. Brad Hand, who was in San Diego, is now in Cleveland. Cleveland's really scuffling. Maybe they move Brad Hand, and this would be a good place for him to come because he can be here for a couple of years. Cleveland just signed him. Who else was they talking about? They were talking about one of the guys was Vasquez. I think it's Felipe Vasquez in Pittsburgh, who's supposed to be really, really good, has been around for quite some time, and has been good consistently, and he's got a good team-friendly contract. That's a guy that could be moved here. The Dodgers can make moves with Pittsburgh. They did it for David Freese, and look what happened with David Freese in this team. Want to hear a crazy stat, by the way, about David Freese that I heard from Joe Davis 2 nights ago, maybe 3 nights ago, talking about David Freese. David Freese has the second best on-base percentage since he joined the Dodgers last year. You know who first is? Christian Yelich. It goes in all of Major League Baseball. Christian Yelich has the best on-base percentage since the Dodgers picked up David Freese. I think it was August 30th, maybe 31st, right around then. David Freese is second in all of Major League Baseball. That's a crazy stat. That's a great stat to have. And David Freese has been fantastic this year. He is just a professional hitter that knows how to get big hits. Great addition for this team, and I love seeing him and Muncy switch off at first base. Al's acoustic. We better fix that because we will face one of the teams in the World Series. And yes, we will fix it. And that's, you have to trust, and I do, and hopefully you do too, but we have to trust Andrew Friedman. He's never done anything that hasn't basically panned out, or they went after the big fish every single year. They got Yu Darvish was the big fish. I hate talking about it, but Yu Darvish was the big fish 2 years ago. They got him. If you remember, Justin Verlander was on a bad contract. He wasn't pitching very well throughout the year. The couple starts leading up to him being traded to the Astros, he did start pitching well, but he was bad for most of the year, and he had a gigantic contract that nobody wanted to take on. So Yu Darvish was the big pickup. And so the Dodgers got him. It fell apart in the World Series, but he was that guy then. Last year, it was Manny Machado. Manny Machado is now, again, he was the big pickup. He just couldn't come through in the 9th inning, and he would come up consistently, bases loaded, 2 on, 1 on, in scoring position, 2 outs, and he would strike out. Or he would fly out, or he would ground out, or whatever it happened to be. He just never came through with that big hit. And and there was just too many things about him. He didn't get along with the guys at the clubhouse, apparently, and it just was a bad fit. So I was very, very happy to see Manny Machado go. But they go after those guys. It doesn't matter who it is. They will make the move, and I think that's the most important thing. Julian Geis says, who do you think Keuchel will sign with? It could go anywhere right now. It seems like it's going to be a team that really needs starting pitching and is right on the cusp of getting where they need to. I could see Philly signing Keuchel. I could see Minnesota. Minnesota could be a really good fit for Dallas Keuchel because he stays in the AL where he's known the AL forever, and he can be in a situation where they don't have the greatest starting pitching. They're all kind of pitching above their heads. Think the Milwaukee Brewers last year, who were the pitchers weren't all that fantastic, but they pitched over their heads and they pitched really well. I think that's what's happening right now with Minnesota, and they're gonna fall off. I just don't see that team sticking around unless they make big moves. They could technically be one of those teams that brings in Keuchel, that brings in Kimbrel, either one. It could be both, and I think that's a big thing. And then here, Craig Kimbrel to the Cubs. Possibly. It's a Briannosaurus Rex. What's up, Briannosaurus? That's a great name, by the way. Yes, this could be one of those situations where he could. Yes, Craig Kimbrel. It's a tongue twister. Craig Kimbrel could be a good fit for the Cubs. And I think the Cubs are a dangerous team. I know I've been saying this year in and year out, and I really believe that the Cubs are going to be that team that's going to be right back in that NLCS next to the Dodgers again this year, because I just think they have everything. They need a closer, so Kimbrel would make a lot of sense for them, because you lose Brandon Morrow for a second year because he's been too injured and can't get back, and that's bullpens. Fantastic one year, terrible the next. It happens all the time, and they can be fixed mid-season. As I love to say on every single Blue review, and I know you guys, some of you are always here, some of you are never here, maybe this is your first time. I always say it, the bullpen at the beginning of the year is not going to be the bullpen at the end of the year. It never is. They bring in different guys come up from AAA. You make trades. They did this with Tony Watson and Tony Cingrani 2 years ago. This is the same type of situation. They bring in enough bullpen help around the deadline to make sure that they have enough. Whoever is pitching the best in September is then pitching in October. And you're in a situation with the Dodgers right now where they're just so good. This team is so good that you don't want to break any of it up. Like, don't trade Alex Verdugo for a relief pitcher that's going to be gone next year. Don't trade somebody in AAA that you think is going to be a big help moving forward into the next couple of years to just get some guy that's going to help you in the postseason this year. This team is built for success. Look at this team. Can we just for a second look at the age of these guys? Besides Justin Turner, who I think is 34, everyone is in their 20s for the most part. Yes, David Freese is older. Clayton Kershaw's 30. Rich Hill is like 37. But for the most part, the position players, the guys that you watch day in and day out and really matter to you, especially offensively, they are here. They are young. I'm talking like 27, between 22 and 27. This is a good, strong, young team that's built for the future. Dodger Rebel, we won't see Alexander in the playoffs. Exactly. The guys you're seeing right now are not who. If Scott Alexander doesn't turn it around and figure out how to pitch consistently and consistently well, you will not see him in October because he won't be pitching in September because the Dodgers will not give him that leash. You don't give these guys those leashes when you're in a pennant chase or whatever it is, because you don't want to see that. So this is one of those situations. Again, always. The bullpen will change. I'm not worried. And in that time that the Dodgers have lost, I think it's over their last 16 games, the Dodgers are 13-3 over their last 16 games was the stat that I believe that I saw. Don't hate me if I got these numbers wrong. But in 13 wins, 3 losses, those 3 losses were all from the bullpen, and this was another one today. It's because the starting pitching is so damn good. Who should the Dodgers trade or sign? So, trading, you're going to trade pieces that you don't think are going to fit into your clubhouse later on. So let's talk about things like Gavin Lux is sticking around. You're not trading Gavin Lux. You're not trading Dustin May unless it's for some superstar. You're not trading Tony Gonsolin. Maybe you're trading DJ Peters because your outfield is pretty stacked. I don't know who you're going to move. You're blocked in the outfield. These are young guys in the outfield. Alex Verdugo is, I believe, 22, 23 years old, somewhere around there. Cody Bellinger, 25, 26, 27, somewhere around there, in the early 20s and just starting to become who he is. Jock Peterson is still right around 27 years old. And that's basically your starting outfield. Don't forget you have AJ Pollock for 3 years, and then if anybody gets injured, you move Kike out there. You can move Chris Taylor out there, who's still also in his 20s, who's been hitting the ball very well recently. A lot of guys are stuck there, so guys like DJ Peters become more expendable. And you know who else becomes expendable? Catching prospects. Right now, Austin Barnes is also in his 20s, and Will Smith, by the way, again. And so people are talking about Will Smith right here on Instagram right now. Will Smith, maybe you're talking about, no, I don't think Will Smith you move because he's also your future. But because Austin Barnes he's been great defensively and okay offensively with 4 home runs, and he does what he needs to do. He's consistently getting on base. I think that's why he sticks around. So you could have a backstop of Austin Barnes and Will Smith, and those 2 guys could really build you up, which means Keibert Ruiz, who is supposed to be the better of the 2, could be a trade piece because he's really highly regarded. They also have Diego Cartaya, who's in single A, I believe, and he is another catching prospect that's supposed to be really, really good. He's from Venezuela, and he's supposed to be a 2, but he's not ready for a couple more years. Another one of those guys, they have Connor Wong, who's also a catcher. So they have plenty of catching stability down in the minor leagues, and all of those guys, if you believe that Will Smith and Austin Barnes are your future, or even if you don't think that Austin Barnes is and Connor Wong is in Rancho, thank you, Gabe Hernandez, then yes, all of these guys can now be moved, or they can move positions. If you remember, Kenley Jansen was a catcher. So guys can move in the minor leagues and be into different positions. All these things can all happen. But the way that this team is built, they have guys in the minors all ready to pop right in. Gavin Lux, Chase Jeter. Is it Chase Jeter? I'm getting the name mixed up. But Jeter Downs. And all ready to just come up. If anybody gets hurt, you have somebody ready and willing to move up and be good at this level. Look, no, had you ever heard of Matt Beatty before? No, probably not, unless you're really, really into Dodgers baseball, AAA baseball. It's in Oklahoma City. Maybe you had, maybe you hadn't. I hadn't, I'm not going to lie. And he has came up and he had been really good. Last year, Max Muncy came up. And Max Muncy became a superstar, hit 35 home runs. Where did that come from? And now look at it. He's a stabilizing piece here on this team. Max Muncy came up and you're like, Max Muncy, down he goes. I trust our scouting more than the brakes on my car, Gabe Hernandez. The scouting department, the front office, this right here is the way that a team is supposed to be run. The Dodgers are run almost perfectly. They have built a team from top to bottom. They built up the farm system. They built up the major league system. They have great starting pitching, great hitting, patient hitting. This is how teams win, and they look super focused right now. To be at 43-20, that's why. Let's go to Briannosaurus Rex. Should the Dodgers go after Will Smith and Tony Watson from the Giants? I loved Tony Watson when he was with the Dodgers. Will Smith would be another really great pickup. Whether the Giants want to make deals with the Dodgers right now, not so bad. It depends. I mean, they have made plenty of deals in the past. I just don't know if that's something they're going to want to do right now. There's a lot of... Just because Farhan Zaidi is there doesn't mean that everything's going to be so much easier to do. Will Smith would be a great pickup. Tony Watson would be as well. Hopefully those are something that could happen, but I'm pumping my brakes on that one. I feel like guys like Amir Garrett and Brad Hand are really the guys. Maybe Vasquez in Pittsburgh. Those are the types of guys that I'm really looking at. Kobe Sai, Greg, Ken Rosenthal just reported that I can't say the name. I don't know what's wrong with me. Let's try this one more time. Hey, all right. Kobe Sai, Greg, Ken Rosenthal just reported that Craig Kimbrell has signed with the Cubs. There it is. It was bound to happen. It makes total sense. They needed a closer. That's a perfect spot for him. That's going to be a difficult guy to face in the playoffs. We already had him once before. Hopefully he turns into the same guy that Joe Kelly is right now and just can't figure himself out. Sup, Des D1S Life. I trust the front office. They will figure out the bullpen. I totally agree. Sean Doolittle. There's another guy. Look what's happening to the Nationals. This is a cautionary tale for the Nationals. The Nationals had one really good shot to make it to the World Series, and they sat Steven Strasburg in the playoffs, and they didn't get there. And now look at the money you have. You have so much money. I think it's close to like $100 million between Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and Patrick Corbin. 3 pitchers, and you're way below 500. That's a cautionary tale. Do not spend that much money on pitchers, and especially pitchers later on. You can't put up all your money into one guy, into 3 guys. It's crazy talk, and they're not going to get through. And I could see Scherzer getting traded or somebody else in there getting traded, because that is just a disaster of a team. And that division alone is just getting better and better and better. The NL East, Philadelphia's on top there, and they were early last year. Atlanta was early last year, and they're right there in second place. That's a really good team. I think they're actually going to take over Philly at some point and win that division again, because they're that good. They were 1 year early last year, and they're going to be there again this year. That's just my thought as well. Kevin Meteora. Amin says the darndest thing. I don't know what that was. Caustic 187, you're talking to Gabe, but it says you agree at least Miami or Baltimore. Let's see. Yes, Caustic, you guys are talking. To be honest, Caustic 187, to be honest, the front office has built an amazing baseball organization. Winning the division and pennant while maintaining a farm is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. That just doesn't happen in baseball. You build up your farm system to trade it all away to win in the major leagues. And what the Dodgers did is they made they made the major leagues. The major leagues stayed consistently hot while they built the minor leagues, and the minor leagues are still good while you've been to the World Series 2 years in a row. So that's huge. That's gigantic. That just doesn't happen. Eric Aaron Lizer on Facebook says, "What is Urias going to start getting thrown into a starting role? Right now, he's not." And all right, let's just talk real fast about this starting rotation, just so we understand exactly what we're looking at here, because I was looking at these numbers today before the game with Maeda, so I have to look at actually what Maeda's starting, his ERA is now. Okay, Kenta Maeda is now down to a 3.48. He had the second worst ERA amongst the Dodgers. Only Walker Buehler had a worse ERA, and he was 3.69, so he's actually still there. No starter on the Dodgers has more. No starter on the Dodgers has a higher than 3.7 ERA. All 5 starters are 3.69 or lower. I'm talking Ryu is around 135. Rich Hill's in the 225. Clayton Kershaw's at like a 3. I think he's at a 320 something. Maeda's around, it just said 348, and Walker Buehler was a 369. That's your starting rotation. All 5 guys below a 4 ERA, and even lower than that, below a 3.7 ERA. They have been so good. Before today, they had 6. I think today would have been the 6th quality start in a row if they would have let Kenta Maeda go into the 6th, and we're only given up one. He only given a 1 out. A quality start, so if you don't know, which I'm sure if you're on here, you know what a quality start is, but I'm going to say it anyway. A quality start is when you go 6 innings and give up 3 or less runs. And they're not even getting to those 3 runs. I'm talking they're going 7 innings, 1 run, 8 innings, 0 runs. This team has been fantastic. And in the month of May, I think it was 26 out of 29 or 23 out of 29 starts, something along those lines, where they had quality starts. 23 quality starts in a month. Of course you're going to be 23 games above 500. That's bananas. Those are the types of things that just don't happen in the major leagues. So it's great. Absolutely great to see that from the start. And so when people ask about Julio Urias and whether or not he's going to be in the starting rotation, no, he's not. Because the starting 5 have been that good. Eventually, when you get into the playoffs, you really go down to 3, maybe 4 starters. So at that point, Kenta goes into the bullpen. You already have Ross Stripling there. If you need Rich Hill out of the bullpen, he will go into the bullpen. So those are all things. It's like, guys, whoever is pitching, this is how this team works. If whoever is pitching the best in September is going to get the starts in October, and that's a great situation to be in. All right, so we do have Craig Kimbrel to the Cubs. That is done. That is over. That is finished. As Guild 20078A says, yes, Kimbrel to the Cubs is finished. I see it also here elsewhere on Periscope that it's all done. Yes. That's a rough one, but it makes sense and good for the Cubs because that's the right spot for him to be in. I'm actually completely understanding of that, and I'm not surprised that it happened today. I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas Keuchel gets signed somewhere today, and most likely think about a place like Minnesota. I could see him going to Minnesota, maybe Philly. They're always looking for more guys there, so look for the teams that are really pushing for it, and I think that's one of them. Caustic 187, Greg, do you think they may hold off making any moves, thinking about Kenta playing the bridge role in the playoffs? No, they will. Yes, that's what's going to happen. Kenta will play the bridge role. Stripling will do that same thing. You'll have Urias to be there as well. All guys with experience in the postseason. But they will go get more guys because it never hurts to have more bullpen help. But think about it this way, and I was talking about it earlier that Buster Olney was on with Mason and Ireland today, and he said they're in a situation where they don't have to give up a huge amount of prospects in order to go get a guy just for 1 year. They're in a situation where they can give up the prospects or they can give up whatever they want. Basically, they're buyers. They're not even close to sellers, and they can pick and choose who they want. It's like, you know what? I don't want that guy because it's not contract friendly. It's not the asking price is too high. Doesn't matter. They can go ahead and pick and choose, and they're good with everything that they have. Showtime Forum, what's up? That's my site, Showtime Forum, and I love those guys. They're a little bit crazy, but I love them anyway. Just heard that Ryu does not throw between starts. You happen to know what the reasoning is behind it, Ryu? Yes, I do know the reasoning behind it. That's just not how he works. He's never been that guy, even when he was pitching over in Korea. He is a guy that that's exactly, and as Muni says, it's been Ryu's routine. What he does is very much, he does leg work one day, then he takes a day off, then he does upper body work the next day, and then he takes another day off, or he just studies whoever is going to be the day before, and that's his routine. If it works the way that it has, he's had the best ERA over the last 2 years. Better than Jacob deGrom, better than Max Scherzer, better than whoever else you want to even think about. And so if that's the way that he wants to work, then that's the way it's going to work. It's money. Sorry about that. It looks like, look, it's Muney. You can understand why I think it's Muni. But yes, money. Charlie81, what is your opinion on the Dodgers pick on the draft? You know what? I'm not going to even lie to you. I can sit here and try and make up everything that you want me to about all these guys. I know they picked up a third baseman from Tulane with the first overall pick. Great. They're going to go into the minor. Whoever they pick up, they're going to go into the minor leagues if they sign, which not everybody always signs. But whoever they sign, they're going to go in the minor leagues. And if they play better than whoever's in front of them, which there are going to be a lot of guys in front of them, then they'll make it all the way through. So I don't know enough about college baseball. I don't know enough about high school baseball to really give you a full opinion. If you want a real good opinion about all of these guys, everybody that you can think of, college, pro, or college, high school, whether it's down in Rancho, whether it's Oklahoma City, whether it's in Tulsa, wherever you want to think about, Rancho Cucamonga, I don't care. If you want to know about the Dodgers minor league system, Future Dodgers. At Future Dodgers on Twitter, they will give you everything that you want to know about the minor league system. 100%. And this guy just said it too. He knows it too. The real AUS22, AUS, the real AUS22, Future Dodgers. Future Dodgers are the ones that you want to be listening to. Krish Patel, what's up, man? What's up? How are you? I can check over here. I don't know if you're over here on Twitch. I do have a Twitch page, Krish. I know you were over there before, but it's twitch.tv/MPG_postgame. I have to change it to Blue Review or to Greg Bergman, but it just won't let me do it yet. Anto Viamonte, what's up, man? How are you? Glad to see you in here. Let's see. This is what you look like. This from Caesar 0894. Yes, this is what I look like. And as a lot of people love to tell me, it looks like Chris Taylor. I'm a Chris Taylor doppelganger, and you know what? At least I'm a Dodger. So if this is the closest I can get to being a Dodger is looking like Chris Taylor, I'm all in. I love it. El Cariza 1, Minnesota's overrated, real weak division. I actually kind of agree with that. I think they're playing really, really well right now. Their starting pitching is pitching out of its mind. They seem like one of those teams that's like a year early type teams, but because Cleveland is really scuffling right now, they were supposed to run through that division. So I think Minnesota is going to be that team, but they're going to fall apart, and either they're going to fall apart in the second half of the season, or they're going to get blasted in the ALDS. It's just how it's going to go because I just don't think they're that good, and maybe you do, but that's not how I think about it. Let me just check over here on YouTube because I've not been able to do that. You know what? I didn't even set that up. But while I'm hitting these refresh buttons, I will make sure to check here on Instagram, and it says Krish Patel 12 says, did you give up live streaming on YouTube? No, I'm on YouTube as well. I'm actually looking at my YouTube page, and this one is youtube.com, but you have to find me. It's Greg Bergman, or you can type in Blue Review, Greg Bergman Blue Review, because I need 100 subscribers to get it to actually be youtube.com/Greg Bergman or Blue Review, but I only have, I think, 25 right now or whatever it is. This is still pretty early, so I'm not too worried about it. If you find me, that's awesome. And normally I have somebody hype man me where they're giving me reposting my stuff over and over again, but I didn't have anybody to do it today, and I don't have time to do it myself. So if you haven't found me, I'm sorry. But over on YouTube, I am there, Krish. Make sure to get there. My boy Play, what's up, man? We're killing stuff, and we can't be stopped. Fired. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say that on a day that they lost, but yes. 43-20. There's not much negative to talk about. So let's talk about another positive thing. I know maybe that sounds a little bit homerish, but I'd like to talk about Corey Seager. And this is something that I've had. Great, Krish. This is something that I've always wanted to talk about, and I haven't been able to get too much into it. I really, really need to talk about Corey Seager right now, because he came off of Tommy John surgery. He came off of a hip surgery. I don't think he played at all in spring training. It was going to take him some time to figure out who he was. Took him some time to become Corey Seager again. And guess what? He's starting to be Corey Seager again. And that's a very dangerous spot to be in if you're any other team in Major League Baseball. Because now you have the ridiculously good, who has a 12-game hitting streak and is just destroying everybody in MVP voting right now, in Cody Bellinger. And either hitting in front of him or behind him is Corey Seager, who has been so good recently and has found his stroke and is becoming... People forget... This dude was an all-star 2 years in a row. It was a gigantic loss to lose him last year to Tommy John surgery. It was to the point of when I was doing these post-game shows for the other site, when it got to the postseason, I would look through who they were playing that game. And I would look at who, let's say it was the Dodgers versus Mike Foltynewicz in the NLDS. And it would say, Corey Seager, 4 for 10, 400, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. Every game, 400 against this guy, 400 against this guy, 325 against this guy. He is just that good of a hitter. He was supposed to be MVP caliber until he got injured with Tommy John surgery. And now he's coming back. I said it very, very early on. This was going to be the biggest pickup of the offseason for any team. Corey Seager can be an MVP candidate, and now he is that guy. Now he is the guy that you are remembering, and he can be that 1-2 punch with Cody Bellinger. That's gigantic. He has been so good, and it's great to see. And even defensively, he's got his moments here and there, but that's what happens when you got a ridiculously tall, lanky shortstop. But he's been good overall. This team is built around defense, and he helps that as well. So remember, bringing in Corey Seager to this team that went to the World Series last year and 2 years in a row, huge pickup. All right, Kevin Meteora. Kyrie Irving supposedly bought a place in New York, something or nothing. Whatever. Apparently we're talking about basketball again. Yes, it's always something. I always think it's something, but I think Kyrie Irving I think the Nets just seem like the right team for him, but we can get into that another time. Trick Cards, you're over there on Twitch. What's up, Trick Cards? Corey is shedding the rust off right now. He's going to be a problem for the rest of the league. Exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing that people don't really think about. My boy Play, love the shirt, dude. Hey, thanks, man. And just to talk about the shirt, this shirt is actually from @BleedLos. @BleedLos made this shirt, and you can go out and you can buy it @BleedLos. I also gave away one of these t-shirts on Instagram and on Twitter along with BleedLos, and we do have a couple winners. So if you missed it earlier, the winners of that were on Instagram. I gave it winners on Instagram and on Twitter. And it went into a randomizer, so I had no say over it whatsoever. Pontificating HD, which is Daryl Bear, which I know actually from Twitter and other places, he won on Instagram, so congratulations, Pontificating HD. And on Twitter, which we'll say it on Twitter, Natalie G325, always around, always been talking to me on Twitter from day one, so appreciate you, Natalie, and congratulations. You two are the winners of the We're Nasty. The boys can hit. We'll be sending out BleedLos will be sending out your t-shirts soon, and we'll be doing more of these giveaways as the year goes on, so this is not your last chance to win. I'm also going to give away bobbleheads and other things, but go to @BleedLos Instagram and on Twitter, and you can find their stores. Really good stuff. All right, so let's go back. Mark Francois 136. Greg, thoughts on Cubs getting Kimbrel? Dodgers need to push for Keuchel. Okay, so there's two different questions there, but I will answer both of them. We'll start off with the Kimbrel part of it. I've already talked about it a little bit, but I'll say it again. That was a good pickup for the Cubs. I think that was the right choice, and he was perfect. That's a perfect spot for him. And the other part, Keuchel, no, I love the starting rotation. There's nobody in the starting rotation that is a negative right now. Nobody above a 3.70 ERA. So Keuchel just doesn't fit into this, and there's other guys, Stripling and Urias and other guys in the bullpen that could move into the starting rotation if you need that. Over here, back onto Facebook, Matthew Schenk, who is the number 2 starter on LA currently? It's tough to say, but I think it depends on who you consider, what you consider with the number 1 and number 2, Matthew, because Kershaw is still your number 1 guy, but the way that Hyun-Jin Ryu is playing, Ryu is your starter. So if I have to go with that, Ryu is number 1. I'm not going to go just by ERA. Ryu is 1, Kershaw is 2. Let's go with Buehler, who had a really nice outing, 3, and then we'll put Hill 4 and Maeda 5. That's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can debate it all you want, and I'm sure you will. El Cariza 1, YouTube banner was right where the shirt design is at when you held it up, Berg. FYI. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but, sure, there you go. If that's about... Oh, the banner. There you go. I see what you're saying. I can't see that stuff, so there. I apologize if you weren't able to see it before. My bad. Let's see. The shirt is dope. Thanks a lot, Eric. I appreciate it. Go to @BleedLos and you can find it there. Matthew Schenk again. Overplaying Seager early is playing off. Those early reps are helping. Exactly. Well, and he was even a guy that was playing 3 games on, 1 game off, 3 games on, 1 game off, because you're giving him time to figure it out. It was a big spot for him, so I think that's a great thing. There you go. Actually, I can see it now. The weird nasty shirt is up in the middle. You should be able to see it now. Jermaine Armenta, the entire bullpen either needs to take notes or tear a page out of Ryu's book on pitching, then everyone will be afraid. The bullpen will figure it out. Again, that's a thing that I just can't worry about too much. All right, back over here. Danny Boy 1911 says not happy about Lakers signing Jason Kidd. All that money, yeah, I don't think right now is the time for me to get into Jason Kidd. He's there. I gotta kind of figure that all out for myself because huge Laker fan, and I just don't like the guy. I don't think he's a good dude, and I think that's a problem. So, but I gotta figure out what to do there. The real Aus 22, our rotation since May 10th, 15-1, 170 ERA. That's unbelievable. May 10th, you're talking about almost a full month. We're in this. What is this today? The 5th. We're in June 5th, and that's still 15-1. So that's crazy. And that's just the starting rotation. The team itself over the last 16 games is 13-3. They're going to lose games, and that's okay as long as we know. Get it? That makes it okay. Let's see. Danny, you're talking about Danny Boy. Not happy about Lake. Oh, yeah. It makes no sense. We're not getting back into that. My boy play. Hashtag stick to baseball. They need to join the hashtag Showtime Forward. Yes, I am sticking to baseball. And if you want to talk basketball, at Showtime Forum, they will be talking basketball with you nonstop. They got a ton of great content up there, and anything you need to know, they're on top of everything. I'm talking about interviews from radio, interviews from TV. They got different memes that they make up. They make videos. We're doing a fantastic job on every single set. Any article that nobody sees, we find it first, and they're throwing it up there, and it's all accurate stuff. It's the right type of thing you need if you're a Laker fan. So, okay, that was my Laker talk for a second. Back to the Dodgers, and I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to start really slowing down and getting one question from the last thing here, and then I'm going to get out of here because it's just been long enough. We're looking at just about at our hour long here. So, last couple things here. Let me move over to Instagram and see. I'm talking about Let's Go Raptors. Get out of here with that. That's a Kyrie thing. So. If you don't got anything more, hashtag Lake Show from Credence to it. Yep, Lake Show has been fantastic. So if you got nothing else here, then I'm going to end it right about there. So I'm going to give you just another minute. If you got one more question, I will answer the one more question. Otherwise, I'm going to go home just a little bit early because it's nice to be able to get home in time for dinner. Look at it. It's 5:59. I might be home by 6:45 and actually have some dinner. All right, so here we go. Now, thank you for the last couple questions. Trick cards. Dodgers-Astros World Series rematch. It kind of looks like that's what we're looking at. The only way that I could see that not happening as of right now is if the Yankees can somehow upset the Astros in the postseason. I just don't think so, and I just gotta. This just seems like it. I know we talked about it last year, but they were struggling throughout the year. this year they just seem better than everybody else at every position in every game. And you don't know. It's if they're down by 3, down by 6 at the end of the game, in the 9th inning, you don't know if they're going to lose that game. You have to listen. You have to watch. You have to be paying attention, and that's a great way to be. These post-game shows are different. Like this last year when I was doing these post-game shows, mostly in July and August, we were talking about how they were a bad team. And that we were losing games. I'd come off for losses all the time and say, look, it's still early. It's still early. Let's talk about it in September. And they went to the World Series again. So you're living and dying by every single game last year. And now this year, you're kind of just living by every win and loss. You're saying like, that's a win. Even in losses, you're just not that upset. So not so bad. And yes, Trick Cards, we do need our revenge. No 14-hour day for Berg today. Go home and enjoy that beautiful family, my dude. I appreciate that, El Caraiza. I'm very happy about that. Last 1 or 2 questions. Steve.jar, will Joe Kelly figure it out? I hope so. But again, he's a bullpen guy that is going to, if he doesn't figure it out, he's going to go on that IL, fake or not, and he's going to go on that IL, and you won't see him in the postseason. So he's going to be a guy that needs to show that he can make it into this rotation and into this bullpen that the Dodgers have going right now. So, all right, I was wrecked last year. I'm still apologizing. Everybody was a wreck last year. So I get it. Totally understand it. All right, I'm going to say that's enough. I'm going to cut it right here. Thank you guys so much for being on the Blue Review. Thank you to Bleed Los for these killer t-shirts that I wear all the time. So thank you. Always check them out at Bleed Los. And I will be back here next Wednesday, whether there's a game or not. If it's an early game, I'll wait. I'll hold off, and I'll be here at 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever it happens to be. If there's no game whatsoever, I'll still be here because we'll break down the whole week anyway. There's going to be times where I'm going to miss games here or there, but for the most part, I'm going to be here every single Wednesday, and I'll ramp up more as the season goes on. So thank you guys very much for being on the Blue Review. I am Greg Bergman. Remember to follow me at BergmanGreg on Twitter, at BergmanGreg on Instagram, and that's going to do it for me. I'm out of here. Thanks a lot, guys. See ya.